If you've traveled Antrim and Grand Traverse counties during the summer, you've undoubtedly seen the red retrofitted school buses running the roads hauling cherry tanks. They're part of the fleet from Cherry Key Incorporated, the community-oriented farming operation. In 1972, Cherry Key was formed when brothers Dean, Gene, and Norm Veliquette merged with their parents' dairy farm and partnered with brothers Don and Bob Gregory from across the bay in Leelanau County. They've grown by leaps and bounds since then. Dean's twin brother Gene passed away unexpectedly in 2015, leaving a big hole in both the operation and hearts of his 9 other siblings, of which there are 7 involved in the many companies that make up Cherries R Us.
The cherries we grow are 95% red tart Montmorency cherries. This year we're part of the Shoreline Group, and the Shoreline Group will have a record year this year in volume, and I think the quality is exceptional. So we'll get after our sales team now and see if they can keep up to us. We're producing a lot of cherries. We'll see if they can sell them all.
After they're pitted, Shoreline Fruit plant finishes them, then markets dried cherries, concentrate, and dietary supplements under the brand name Cherry Bay Orchards for the 4 farming operations owned by the Veliquettes and Gregorys, and for over 60 sweet and tart growers. Along with Shoreline Fruit, there's Great Lakes Packing with locations in Cowayden and Hart. There, cherries are sized, pitted, packed, and some are brined. And nothing goes to waste, as pits are dried and marketed for fuel. There's Cherry Bee Incorporated, utilizing their own bees to pollinate cherries, as well as oranges in Florida. And there's Triple D Orchards in Empire, processors of maraschino cherries for the chocolate cordial industry, along with the juice bottling line. Today, they mechanically harvest on 2,800 acres. In 2003, after selling a farm in Acme, Gene decided they'd move over 20,000 trees from that farm to Elk Rapids. 1 tree in a cherry tank, 8 on a truck at a time. Another 6,000 to 8,000 dug bare-rooted and planted.
Gene was a hard driver. He was always up and ready to go. He was the guy that led us into, he traveled a lot, different areas of the country that were growing cherries when he was on the MACMA committee. And we learned a lot from other people, and we applied it to the farms. But the proudest things that I have outside of the cherry business is the contributions we were able to make to the local athletes in the area, the athletic facilities that we were able to help create at the park and at the high school. So those are lasting legacies that I think Gene had an incredible input into. Nothing was too big. So when it came to signing a note for $218,000 to put the lights on the soccer field, he was right there. So that's kind of what we did in our spare time.
Charlotte Ball is Gene's middle child and serves on the scholarship board of the Cherryland Youth Association that Dean and Gene founded. She says they give back to the Elk Rapids community that's provided so much opportunity for them.
When they see something good happening, they want to be a part of it. And so Dad and Dean were very instrumental in helping get that started and finishing the dream for a lot of kids and for the school's athletic fields. They did a lot of work there and have raised a lot of money. And Dean has been very instrumental in helping to create and fund the Gene A. Veliquette Memorial Scholarship, which we are very proud of.
The philanthropy didn't stop there. A devout Catholic, Gene purchased the land and donated it for a newly formed Christ the King Catholic Church in Acme. Sunday Mass was one place he could actually sit and relax, reportedly many times falling asleep. And with all the invented pieces of farm equipment Gene could have patented, he chose to share designs rather than selling them. Married for 37 years, Gene's wife Linda says he adored his 3 children and 9 grandkids, and when it came to cherries, he was always on the move.
As far as cherries, he was the ultimate farmer. They started the companies up, and he always went to the bank and pedal to the metal. I'm going to borrow as much money as I can, and we're going to buy another farm. And I think he always envisioned to grow it big enough so that all his brothers and sisters, if they wanted to own part of the company, or if they wanted a job, because most of them were out in the country, that they could all be, I mean, he was family. It's all family, you know, and I want to get big enough so that we can all, wives and kids and grandkids, can make a living off of this.
Dean Veliquette couldn't have been prouder than to have his granddaughter Brianna in the orchard for the first time in 2016, skimming tanks with what he says was a smile on her face every day. Bruce Veliquette is Dean's son and president of Shoreline Fruit Growers. Along with responsibilities in a number of boardrooms of their companies, he's the Antrim County Division Manager for the orchards, overseeing the management of equipment and the fabrication and maintenance shop. He's been working in the family business since he was 10 years old.
When I was going to school, I had the opportunity to go off and do something different. Worked in that field for a couple of different years while still maintaining to come home, and got to the point where I was going to make a career choice of chase something different or come home, and coming home to the farm was what I wanted to do, and I've loved it ever since I've been back. There's nothing else I'd like to be doing at this point in my life. Working with family's been great. Working with Uncle Gene as an innovator was pretty inspiring. You know, some of the equipment that I help manage at this point is a lot of stuff that he dreamt of that everyone told him was impossible, but we've managed to make things work and improve on them. And a lot of them started with Gene's entrepreneurial outlook on life.
Tyler Veliquette is Gene's son, the youngest of the three. He manages the orchards in Grand Traverse County, along with being the spray manager. And Tyler's proud to have his oldest son Jacob working with him in the orchards, allowing him to share with the next generation the things he learned from his father at a very early age.
I remember he started paying me for some chores when I was about 7. Showed me how to do everything from working the fields and pulling the tarps and skimming the tanks and spraying, and just every project we've taken on as far as farm improvement projects or draining fields or whatever. He taught me how to do a lot of things, and yeah, it was always fun.
Rachel Bunner is Gene and Linda's oldest child. She was 4 when her mother married Gene, and 7 when she was officially adopted. She says as identical as Dean and Gene were physically, they were anything but that in the way they went about things.
It's funny because they look so much alike. I mean, even as they were older, I mean, you could definitely tell that they were identical twins. But sometimes if you ask anybody, their personalities were kind of almost polar opposites, where Gene was always the cockeyed optimist, Dean was always like the realist or the pessimist. So between the two of them, they made a perfect business model, for a manager. But them as individuals, it was really quite funny to see the dynamic. And just seeing that passion and that drive is very inspiring.
In 2008, photographer Paul Mobley published American Farmer, Portraits from the Heartland. A Michigan native, Paul felt it important to feature a cherry farmer and got 2 for the price of 1.
I'm being interviewed because of the work and the leadership and innovation that my brother Gene displayed every day, and it's through his actions that inspired us to work harder, longer, and try some of his innovations, and we're ended up where we're at today.
Today, Dean stays busy, mowing around the orchards on his John Deere 2440 and keeping his arthritis at bay thanks to the medicinal qualities of cherry juice. And located at Triple D Orchards in Empire is a memorial tree and stone honoring Dean's brother Gene. Both men dedicated to the cherry industry, their families and employees, and most of all, to each other. Recognized together with the Michigan State Horticultural Society 2016 Distinguished Service Award.